listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. And I am your host, Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, reciprocity, and positivity. Welcome all my narrators. Welcome anybody, all my newbies as well. If you're unfamiliar with the Narrative Podcast or me, I'll bring you up to speed before diving into the content. So before a quick overview for the new listeners unfamiliar with me and my platform, start off by taking a quick, somber moment of silence. We had a loss in the world of hip hop. Mixtape DJ and producer extraordinaire, recently passed, the 45 King. He has a string of hits. He's been producing or doing DJing and producing pretty much since the beginning. His biggest hit to his resume is Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life. He passed away on Thursday, so I did not have the information. I did a live broadcast on Thursday. I literally started getting alerts on my timeline right when I concluded my live broadcast on Thursday. So just going to take a quick moment of silence for the 45 King. All right. Let that brother rest in power. Narrative Podcast sending deepest condolences, love, light, and healing energy to his family, associates, and anybody connected to him in this time right now. So now, diving into it, getting to the nitty gritty, I'm going to walk you through a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast. So let's start at the top. Tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original culture. I get to the original people a little bit later. So what I decided to do was to, build a platform in a direct answer to, the intentional misappropriation and misrepresentation of my people and my culture by the media, by building a platform where I'm uplifting and edifying my people and my culture instead of, trying to downplay our accomplishments and vilify us like the media does. So here is the Narrative Podcast is a positive space where I basically, uplift and edify our people and our culture. As a matter of fact, I think that's a perfect segue for my tagline, the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So that's what, my entire platform is dedicated to, providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Because like I said, the media intentionally vilifies us, intentionally misrepresents our people and our culture. They primarily do it to sell news, but then they also do it with a little element of mind control. It's psychological warfare. They want to, for us, our people, what they want to do is they want to desensitize us to violence, desensitize us to degeneracy and toxicity and negativity by pushing false narratives, pushing the negative stigmas and stereotypes within our community and about our people for us. And then for people outside of our culture, they intentionally give them the false negative frames of reference about our people and our culture to have people outside of our culture react to us and interact with us from a certain perspective. They're only going off by what they see on television, hear in the music, read in books and magazines, see in movies about our people and our culture, and all what they see is all negative. So in addition to that, the reason why the media does that, not only to sell news, but like I said, as a form of psychological warfare, they want to, help the dominant society keep their place at the top of the food chain by, making themselves look like the saviors and they're pristine and they're holy, by vilifying and making everybody else appear to be unintelligent and degenerate and low life in comparison, in contrast to them. Like they do that to everybody, but the people that they do it to the most is the people they fear the most. Our people, original people. Why do they fear us so much? They fear us because they're afraid. They know their history and they know ours, and they're afraid that we're going to do to them the same thing that they've done and are doing to us, which is, steal our entire culture, rape our people, take our land. But their fear is ill-gotten because we don't have a history of that. It's really sad. They're afraid if we stop fighting each other and, wake up and smell the coffee, that we're going to rightfully reclaim everything we're supposed to have, and then they'll be outside of the bubble and not special and, not at the top of the heap anymore. So, that's why they do that. So my ultimate takeaway I want my audience that listens to the Narrative Podcast to gain from my content, if nothing else, is the importance of sharing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Because as I said, the media intentionally puts out false, negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. And that's all people outside of our culture, know of us is what the media puts out. So I highly encourage everybody that listens, especially my people, to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, meaning the types of frames of reference that I provide here on the Narrative Podcast, like showing us winning, showing giving examples of leadership, of a healthy family structure, stories of us overcoming in the face of adversity, being community leaders and activists, and being entrepreneurs, doing for self, being an example to anybody who we come in contact with. Just, not being criminalistic, not being, violent and petty and lowbrow and amoral and, basically ratchet. So I constantly, that's my ultimate takeaway I want people to get from my content, if nothing else, is the importance of sharing positive content about our people and our culture. As a matter of fact, that's why I call my target audience my narrators, because we're living in a digital age now, and what you're judged on, the content of your character, is now judged upon what you're posting online. People associate you as a person, your ideals, your belief systems, your values, your morals, your hobbies, your interests. People equate that with what you're posting online. They attach that to your personality, how you are as a people. So how do we look at like as a people if we're feeding into these negative stigmas and stereotypes that the media places over us? If we're perpetuating the negative stereotype of the pimp, the pusher, the addict, horror culture, thought culture, ratchet culture. If we're sitting up there, regurgitating that online by posting it and, appearing to be interested or entertained by that type of thing, then, that's what the powers that be, want us to do. So I try to, encourage people to post positive content, because like I said, we're in a unique position living in a digital age to tell or narrate our own stories. We can choose, we can control what we're posting online, our content. So, we can change the narrative that way by controlling what type of content we're posting on our, social media platforms, like whatever you're active on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you're, proficient on or active on. Because like I said, the media is evil, wicked, and diabolical, but at the core of it, they're also a business. And, that's the way businesses these days do business. They do it by, monitoring trends and creating products for said trends. So, these Fortune 500 companies that collect all their statistical research, from what we're posting online, what we're clicking on, what websites we're going to, what type of information that we're sharing, and then they'll go create product to accommodate what they believe, is our interest, what we're interested in, just based off of their statistical data, what we're clicking on, what we're posting online. So said all that to say, that's the explanation for all these crappy television shows, crappy movies, crappy books, literature, periodicals, negatively portraying and depicting us in a certain light, just grossly misrepresenting our people. These images are, acquired because of what we're posting and putting online. So, just think about that. I mean, you're grown, you can post whatever you want to post online. You know, nobody's stopping you. But in that, just know it comes at a price. This is how we will be perceived as a people. So, you know, just be aware of that. Another thing on the Narrator podcast, this is an all positive space. I don't entertain, promote, endorse, or push gossip. I try to really, I'm anti-gossip. Like, I don't promote that. I think that's the, crutch, the thing that's crippling us as a people, because we're sucked into gossiping and talking bad about each other online. Like, that's a thing within our community. And it's hurting us because, people will bash another brother or sister online for clout to generate clicks and views or whatever, and like, it's just rampant in our community, not nobody else's. So I try to discourage against that as much as at all possible on here. So I don't use my space to kick dirt or talk bad about a brother or sister. Another thing is, like, if I do mention somebody's famous name, it's never from a place of, condemnation or, trying to say something bad or slanderous about them. It's just really to illustrate a point that I'm trying to make a connection, setting up a point that I'm trying to make, just to make it more, vivid. Now, if I do, what I will do is, if a famous person, has a platform and they're recklessly doing something reckless that not only damages their own credibility but makes us look bad as a people, I will say something about that. Other than that, I don't do that on my platform. So like I said, I'm anti-gossip. I don't, promote or spread gossip or endorse it or encourage it or none of that. It's all about empowerment and upliftment on the Narrative Podcast. Lastly, this is a time-sensitive platform. Oh, not lastly. I guess I'm going to save the best for last. Next, this is a time-sensitive platform. I try to keep everything brief and to the point. When I first started podcasting, I didn't know, what type of content that I want to touch on. So after I figured out, what I want to talk about, I looked for a way to optimize my message, and I came up with basically just keeping it simplistic as possible, keep the content real, easy to follow, making it digestible, and able to retain what I'm saying, retain and apply what I'm saying. And, that way I also be able to keep the audience captivated with what I'm saying and engrossed and intrigued about what I'm saying. I'm not just going on a rant and talking hours and hours and hours. So therefore, I came up with a method just to keep it short, brief, to a point. Narrative Podcast, I got about several sections, and I think about 6 total, if I'm not mistaken. And what I did is just, give each section a speaking point and try to time each section, and in that way, that keeps me from droning on and going down rabbit holes and being boring basically. So that's how I try to keep it, fresh and fun and exhilarating and have all my listeners enjoy themselves while they're listening, and also challenge their intellect, give them something to think about too. So I can gauge all your senses. This is an all audio platform, so I need to keep you as captivated as possible within the short time that I have with you. Also, that helps me also to appeal to many different types of audiences. I can appeal to the most highly intellectual person, or somebody with not such quick wit, or just practical with their thinking. So I'm like right there in the middle. I don't want to shoot over anybody's head. Also don't want to dumb myself down. So like I'm right there in the center pocket. So you don't have to clear your entire schedule to, listen to an episode of the Narrator podcast. If you miss an episode here or there, you're good. You can probably like catch up in 10 or 20 minutes, if you missed an episode here and there. Lastly, like I said, saving the best for last, I refer to our people as original people versus black on my platform. The reason why I do that, not because I'm ashamed of being black, I just feel original better describes us as a people than the word black. Because for starters, I can go real super deep with it, but basically I just believe, original is more historically accurate because we were and are the original man and woman of this planet. Also referring to ourselves as original helps unify us as a people, because there are so many different types of us, hailing from so many different land masses, believing in so many different things, having so many different upbringings, views, religion, political affiliations, you name it, anything that divided people, it's all within our culture. But the one thing we all have in common, we are all original people. We can all trace our lineage back to the point of origin for all civilization. That's what we have in common. So that's why I try to refer to our people as original people as often as possible here on the Narrator podcast. I think I have covered everything that you would need to know. I think I covered all my bases about all the nuances of the Narrator podcast. So without any further ado, diving in this weekend, full edition of the Narrator podcast. Pardon me for a sec. So, diving right on in, my very first section of the Narrator podcast, full edition. I have two. So if you're listeners, regular listener, I go live during the weekends, and I have full episodes on the weekends. So during the weekdays, I go live, and I never really have I don't have a specific day locked in for my weekday episodes. But this is like, I'm pretty consistent with the weekends. So here we are, weekend edition of the Narrator podcast for my very first section. All right, up first is my promo section. And in my promo section, what I'm doing here is offering businesses that own and operate their own, original people owned and operated businesses, the opportunity to get free promotion from me, Halsey Allen, on the Narrator podcast, to promote, their business, product, service, event, whatever they want promoted, to reach out to me, to, promote whatever they got going on. And the reason why I'm doing that is to do my part to help circulate the original people dollar within the original people community to make, an original people owned and operated business or event known. So like if people don't know about it, they can't patronize it. So I'm extending my platform to help, to help people know whatever you got going on, shoot you some business your way in the effort to help expand your business, to get more customers so you can do for the community. Because while we are, do reparations, it's up to all of us to, do our parts to help each other grow. So like, if you feel you don't have enough money to buy something, you can at least use your platform to promote somebody's brand. And that's what I'm doing here in the promotion section on the Narrative Podcast. So without any further ado, if you need or like some free promotion, hit me up, Halsey Allen, at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. And in the subject bar, type promo, body of the email. Make sure to include, everything you want me to tell the listeners about your business, product, service, event, or anything that you want promoted. All the specific details about whatever you want promoted, and I promote it gladly right here on my platform. And I'll run it back one more time before going on to the next section. So for that free promotion, hit me up, Halsey Allen, on the Narrative Podcast at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. All right, next section is the contest section. Now, I'm using the exact same email address that I'm using for the promo. The only difference is I'm separating the two by the subject bar, so pay very close attention so you can enter the contest. And the name of my contest that I'm running for my podcast is called the Chew on This contest. Basically, the reason why I'm doing that is just like incentive / reward / listener participation. So I want everybody that listens to it to participate, engage me, participate in the content. If you've been listening, this is your chance to be rewarded for listening and, hopefully, gain some new listeners by, if you listen long enough, you might get something cool. As my numbers picking up, I'll be able to give more lavish gifts and contests that I have for the Narrative Podcast. But for right now, the prize is a bulk supply of your favorite snack food item. And like I said, the name of the contest is called the Chew on This, and that's why I called it the Chew on This. Because the prize is a bulk supply of your favorite snack food item, and I want you to dwell on the topic. And the topic is share your most recent shopping while black experience. So to enter the Chew on This contest, hit me up, Halsey Allen, at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. And here's the tricky part. In the subject bar, type Chew on This /or - shopping while black. Body of the email, make sure to include your most recent shopping while black experience, your mailing address so I know where to send your prize, and in the body of the email, also make sure to include, of course, what type of snack food item you would like as a prize, so I can send it to you. So I'm going to run it back one more time before going on to the next section. All right, so for the Chew on This contest, hit me up, Halsey Allen, at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host, and in the subject bar, type Chew on This / shopping while black, or SWB in all caps if you don't want to type out the entire word shopping while black. That's perfectly acceptable. Body of the email, make sure to include your mailing address, your most recent shopping while black experience, and then what you would like as your prize. And that's it. And it's all in the entry. I'm not charging any money. There's no entry fee. There's no time in which to have your request in or entry in. I think it's just going to be an ongoing thing. I'll let you know if I ever decide to change up the contest. But yeah, just enter the contest today. You have nothing to lose. 110% for free. Why not? All right, so now that you got that, here's my very first section of the Narrative Podcast. 1 second, please. So my very first section of the Narrative Podcast is the highlight section. In the highlight section, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting businesses owned and operated by original people. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, like I said, we don't have a lot of positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, especially in the area of entrepreneurship. The very few frames of reference about entrepreneurship that we have readily available to us comes in the form of scripted reality television shows. And on these scripted reality television shows, they always depict our people in a negative light, of course. They are the producers of these shows play up, all the drama, all the dysfunction, all the toxicity, degeneracy on camera. They play it up so much you kind of forget, the plot of it. And the plot of it is, entrepreneurs. They got like 4 or 5 different people under their umbrella. Like they're responsible for creating jobs for thousands. They got like 4 or 5 entities under their brand umbrella. They make executive decisions. They give back to the community. But like I said, on camera, it all gets drowned out with, all that dysfunction, all that toxicity. So all we're seeing on camera is them fighting each other, drinking, doing drugs, engaging in lewd acts and behavior. So here on the Narrative Podcast, we kind of, we do kind of X all that out because number one, it's an audio platform, so you're not seeing anything anyway. But second, just getting to the nitty gritty, I'm walking you through an entrepreneur's journey, putting out that positive frame of reference because we're constantly getting bombarded with negativity about our people and our culture from the media. So I'm just putting out the positive frame of reference that it is possible, that if you do want to start your own business, it can be done. What I'm doing in the highlight section is walking you through an entrepreneur's journey, telling you, how they came up with the business, how they came up with the name, the year established, who they, market their brand to, all the nuances that come with being an entrepreneur. I attempt to try to provide you with that in this section. Some other qualifying factors for the highlight section. So of course, the entrepreneurs, they're original men and women, of course. So they're Black. They hire their own. I try to also promote people that do for the neighborhood. So like they either pay into a nonprofit organization or, have one of their very own. A lot of them are family owned and operated. So I'm giving you the positive frame of reference about generational wealth. So yeah, and my last qualifying factor that I use to highlight businesses in the highlight section is it lines up with my current theme, and my current theme is the season of fall. So yeah, many of these business owners in the highlight section, they're just regular people. They didn't have, a lot of them didn't have educational background, didn't have sufficient means to start their business, financial means, financial know-how, a business plan, or all that important stuff that you need to start a business. They just stepped out on faith. Regular people working a 9-to-5 job, want to do something different, want to do something they was passionate about, stepped out on faith and made it happen. So without any further ado, now that you got a gist of what the highlight section is about, I'm going to dive right on in. And so like I said, it is fall, the season of fall. So I try to do things fall related. And when I get stuck, I usually just punch something up, national whatever day. And it's usually food related. But having said that, it is fall. October, 21st, it is National Pumpkin Cheesecake Month. So, these businesses that I will be highlighting in the highlight section are original people owned and operated businesses that specialize in the production and selling of cheesecake. And of course, pumpkin is a seasonal flavor. So of course they have pumpkin cheesecakes available, but they just specialize in selling cheesecakes. So at first, on the highlight section of the Narrator podcast, the first business I'll be highlighting is Sweet, original homemade Chicago cheesecake. You heard it right, Sweet. SCHWEAT. It's not sweet, SWEET, it's Sweet. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 12 to 6. They close at 4 p.m. on Saturdays. And the proprietor's name is Brian and his wife, Camille Weddington. The email address is www.sweetfoods.com. The brick and mortar address is 5248 West Chicago Avenue, 600651. Telephone number, area code 312-620-946. And for any personal inquiries, you can hit them up at sweetsfoods@gmail.com. So for starters, both of them have a background in education. They both taught. They were teachers. They are both Chicago natives. and they absolutely love the neighborhood that they're located in, their business is located in. They often thought of a way to, how could they help improve that neighborhood? So, they always, in the back of their mind, want to give back, want to think of a way to give back. And they finally decided on cheesecake. So in addition to being an educator, Camille was also, a baker. She grew up in the kitchen watching, her mother and her grandmother bake, and her grandmother's specialty was cheesecake. So she learned how to make her grandmother's cheesecake, and of course revamped the formula to make it her own. They started off just doing e-commerce. So they just opened up a Shopify store, put the brand on there, the cheesecake. Eventually they started doing pop-ups, passing out free samples of cheesecake. And then they eventually opened up their own brick and mortar location and have been there ever since. In addition to just selling some, exquisite cheesecake, they also are pro-community. They have tons of things that they are passionate about. So, they host all kinds of workshops, partnerships, speaking engagements for people in the community to, help them pull themselves up or help, get them jobs and whatever. They're partnered up with a whole lot of local area vendors. So everything is fresh, in-house. Everything, all their ingredients are, non-GMO, fresh, locally grown and sourced. So like a lot of stuff coming from farmers markets for the, far as like the fresh fruit toppings on their cheesecakes, dairy from the local, from the cheese, the actual, cream cheese in the cheesecake, that's local. Everything's in-house, made by hand, the graham cracker crust, all that, all the nuances for their cheesecake is all fresh, all in-house. But more about their philanthropy. Like I said, they host workshops, partnerships, speaking engagements. They are also paired up with the organization called Ujamaa. And for those that know anything about Kwanzaa, that is the third principle of Kwanzaa, and it stands for Ujamaa, verbal. It stands for work and partners. Geez, this is embarrassing. One sec. I'm sorry. I got myself mixed up. I was saying Ujamaa is Ujima, which is the third principle of Kwanzaa, which translates into collective work and responsibility. So they are, working immensely with Ujima.org. And like there's all kinds of workshops Got sister programs as well. Basically, they teach financial literacy. They teach, Job Hunter 101, how to do the cover letter, how to do the resume, give you skills to put, interpersonal soft skills to put on your resume, all kind of classes that help you become self-proficient as far as like getting a job. Then they also have, classes from where you want to ascend beyond just being a 9-to-5 employee, for like if you want to start your own business, how to write the grant letter proposal, how to do that, how to write your business plan, and this, that, and the third. They also have other outreach programs, like if people dealing with homelessness. If women, they got a little program for women, displaced children, displaced people, displaced women, or if a woman got into a domestic situation, they got help for them people too. Women of domestic abuse, just really great programs. It's everybody under that umbrella, and that's kind of the core focal point of their company, is to give back to the community any way that they can. So help me into giving our brother and sister Brian and Camille Weddington a warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for their contribution to the community through sweet, original, homemade Chicago cheesecake. All right, rocking and rolling. So next business I'll be highlighting on the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast is Harriet's Cheesecake. It was established in 1983 by a sister by the name of Harriet Parks. Email address is www.harrietscheesecakeunlimited.com. 515 Centinela Avenue, Inglewood, California, 90302 310 419 2259. That's the telephone number. All right, so her story is a little unique. She had no desire to do this. She was making a living working. She became fascinated with making cheesecake because her sister had moved from California and was staying out in New York City. And of course, what is New York famous for? They're famous for their cheesecake. So her sister acquired a cheesecake recipe from a place that she was going to get her cheesecake from in New York City. Had the, owner write down the recipe for her. She knows her sister knows how to cook. She's a pretty much worker, stay-at-home mom. She's married at the time. She sent her the cheesecake recipe to her sister in Oakland, California, sent it to Harriet, and was like, here's a recipe for cheesecake. I'm coming to visit you in whatever month she decided to visit her. She went on and visited her. By the time she got there for her visit, she had already perfected the recipe. Her sister ate it, enjoyed it, loved it. And ever since then, she had been making cheesecake. She started practicing with all types of, different flavors of cheesecake. and just really mastered making cheesecake in this short amount of time. In the short amount of time that the recipe for making cheesecake came to her. Now, of course, like many businesses, it was spawned out of a tragedy. So she was going through something. She became stricken down, terminally ill. In addition to that, she got a divorce. Her husband left her. It didn't say, why and none of that, and all the information that I, dug up on her company or business. So her husband left her. She was terminally ill, and of course she needed something to supplement her income. So she started assessing, her skills, talents, and abilities. So she basically was like, well, I know how to make cheesecake now. I'm really good at cheesecake. I'm gonna just start selling cheesecake, and that's exactly what she did. She found the store that she's the address that she's currently at, and she's been there since 1983 selling cheesecake. It is now officially an Inglewood staple. So, if you're an Inglewood native, you know about Harriet's Cheesecake. She's been there since 1983. It's a family-owned and operated spot. Her sons will be taking over the business. They help her oldest two sons. And I'm sure if she has grandchildren, if her sons have kids, I'm pretty sure their children help as well. They're most likely going to take over the business. She's become so popular. Her cheesecake factory has been featured on the spot on the OWN network. So if you're familiar with OWN, that's a all original people owned and operated streaming network. I think it's like 50 or 60 bucks a month. They got all original programming. So they got a little spotlight where they feature local businesses. And then they also, of course, write their own, television shows and the movies. So one of their shows features one of their own, like, movies or shows that they wrote also features Harriet's cheesecake. So they wrote that in the script because it's in like California, wherever that show takes place in. And so two of their characters is like seen coming out of Harriet's cheesecake. But definitely go support that. All our ingredients is fresh, non-GMO, made by hand, old-fashioned. She doesn't have a lot of industrial equipment. It's all like just like store mixers you can find probably at like Walmart. She's had them for like the equipment that she does, little baking equipment that she does have. She's had since she's opened since the 80s. So, you can't beat that. This is why like AI will never take over and robotics for all those people to worry, because it's like you can't in the industry, especially like in the food industry, all your emotions come through your food, which you eat. So she has a plethora of flavors. Her most famous one that she enjoys is the apple spice. They got Another popular one is banana and sweet potato. There's also sponsored, if you don't, by the Clippers. It's Clipper Nation at Harriet's. They got a Clipper Cola flavored cheesecake. So that might be interesting. Go check that out. Join me in giving Harriet and Harriet's Cheesecake a warm narrative podcast round of applause. All right, next. This one is kind of fun. It's fun because I'm a sucker for play on words, and this next cheesecake is a play on words. It signals the government shutdown we had in 2018, 2019. And the name of it is, called furlough cheesecake. And a furlough basically is a shutdown. Now, the government shutdown wasn't what I was thinking about when I saw furlough. Because furlough, the first thing, I had a lot of male relatives growing up, like all my uncles, in the penal system, like they coming home, they was getting furloughed. And furlough means a temporary, in terms of that, means a temporary release from prison. So like when you get a furlough, it's either, for a reunion, not a reunion, a family reunion, like a family death, emergency in the family that you had to get home like right away, either a death in the family or somebody in really critical condition about to die and they want to see you. So like that, or like it back in the days, my uncles used to get furloughed. This is like before like the ankle monitor bracelet technology. Furloughs was like before like the halfway house. They would let them out, like look for jobs and stuff. And then you had to go right back. Like the people would drop you off at your approved house, and then you get cleaned up, ready for a job, and then they'll come back and get you at a certain time to go job hunting. You put in all of your applications, and then take you right on back after you done filled your quota for like how many hours you're supposed to be out, and then take you back to jail. That's my, what I was going through my mind when I was thinking furlough, but it wasn't that. It was like to symbolize the temporary government shutdown. It was established in 2019 by two biological sisters by the name of Jackie Wright and Nikki Howard. The email address is thefurloughcheesecake.com, 185 Waterfront, St. Austin Hill, Maryland, 2075. Telephone number 240-2640-5324. Any inquiries at furlough, or you can add them on Instagram at furlough on IG, and then furlough. You can follow them on Facebook and Twitter, furlough as well. So now their story isn't complicated at all, because like I said, it was because of the government shutdown, and both sisters had government jobs, so they were directly affected by the government shutdown. Jackie was employed as at the Department of Justice, and Nikki was employed at the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. So they was both, full-time government employees suffering Now their husbands, both of them, I think they was having some severe medical problems. They couldn't work. So like their disability checks wasn't cutting it. So they needed a source of income. They got the idea from cheesecake around about the time of New Year's. Nikki made a cheesecake and it was a hit. And so they decided to sell cheesecakes. They launched it on social media like everybody was doing around that time, using social media. And so, they blew up off social media off their cheesecake, and they've been doing well ever since. They've been featured in all kinds of magazines and all sorts of other homemaking, blogs and vlogs have been interviewing them. And so their popularity continues to skyrocket, and they're doing exceptionally well. They said they missed their jobs, they missed that steady stream of income, but they are happy that it played out like that. They're happy that they're, owning their own business, owning their own brand, being on their own time, all that. But they said they do miss the, that, I guess, consistent, because nothing's permanent. Nothing lasts forever, especially with them government jobs. It might feel they definitely don't last, but, they definitely turned entrepreneur overnight successes since 2019, that very short amount of time. So anything's possible. Help me give sisters Jackie and Nikki a Warm Narrative podcast. Round of applause for the Furlough Cheesecake Company, or just Furlough Cheesecake. All right, last but not least, next cheesecake company I will be highlighting on the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast is called Val's Cheesecake. And this proprietor's name is a male. I never heard a man named Valerie, but his name is Valerie Sean Bartz. The email address is www.valscheesecake.com. Physical brick and mortar address is 2820 Greenville Avenue, Dallas, Texas, 75206. Phone number 465 776-84 or 776-8044, excuse me. So his introduction into cheesecake is very kind of sad and unprecedented. It definitely wasn't a field he wanted to go in. His day job was a civil engineer. I don't know what a civil engineer, you have to do your own Googles on that, but he was a civil engineer working full time, making great money as a civil engineer. He is a Haitian from Haiti, so it doesn't say any information. I was pulling up, it didn't tell me how long he had been in the shores of America, but, he's originally from Haiti. So his mother he flew his mother in from Haiti to visit him one day. And this is where, his trek for cheesecake kind of turns. So she comes in to visit, got there, a few days into her visit, she started feeling really sick, took her to the hospital. Turns out that, she had type 4 breast cancer. Doctors diagnosed her as terminally ill. And, through his vigilance, he was able to, prolong her life 4 years prior to, when she got diagnosed. When he took her to the doctor said she only had 6 months to live. So at that point, he made his mission not to say the word terminal again because, the power of words. So he just was really vigilant, taking care of his mother, was able to prolong her health, to sustain her 4 years past what they had predicted for her. But in that time, he had started having family dinners every Sunday. He cooked, and it was a full course meal, like about 2-3 courses, with dessert. And of course, his mother's favorite portion of the meals was the dessert. So, she was looking forward to the dessert more than the actual meal. So he found out, he asked her what was her favorite dessert, and he started making that. And then so he found out that she liked cheesecake, and he started just experimenting with different flavors of cheesecake. Each one was a different hit. She loved it. Unfortunately, his mother eventually passed away. And this was kind of sparked within him to start his own cheesecake company. He found he had started practicing in a commercial kitchen, just renting it. He eventually did it full time after she passed away. And, the location where he's at now, became his main location. He also has expanded since then, has several more locations in Texas. Basically, what sets him apart, from the competition is that he's devoted strictly to cheesecake, because many cheesecake places, sell other products, but he sells just only cheesecakes. So he prides himself as being, that region's only cheesecake bar. So he sells nothing but cheesecake. Also, he rents his space out to other local vendors and nonprofit organizations. So they can promote their own products, rent his space, for cooking events or whatever they got going on. And then also use it to sell whatever, what they're selling in exchange for, some profit sharing. So that's what he provides. He basically provides a co-op to the neighborhood, and everybody can hone their skills in his kitchen and teach, people how to cook and all that. So that's what he's bringing to the table. So join me into giving Brother Valerie Jean Bartz a warm narrative podcast round of applause for Val's Cheesecake. All right, next up on the Narrative Podcast is the health and wellness section. In this section, what I like to do is it's very self-explanatory. It is just how it sounds. It's about health and wellness, giving health and wellness tips to original people to sustain a healthy, active, fit lifestyle. Because my motto is, health is wealth. Now, small disclaimer. My podcast, the Narrator Podcast, is for everybody of all walks of life to listen to. But all the content on this platform is geared towards my people, original people. Like, that's my target demographic. So of course, especially in this section, in the health and wellness section, because we all have, we're all different in this world. We all have unique genetic makeups, unique cultural constitutions, and just cultural things is, differences. So, what is like just normal in your culture is abnormal in mine. What is perfectly healthy in your culture would probably hurt me, somebody from my culture, to, partake in your diet, daily diet, or, your rituals and spiritual practices that will be hurtful to somebody in my culture. So, we can just dispel that we are all one people thing, because we're not all one people. We're all different. But, teach their own. But more to the point, just talking systemically right now, it is an inherent agenda to eradicate my people, original people, from this planet, especially here in the Americas. We're putting things in the air, food, water, daily items we use every single day that will harm or destroy us. So what I offer in the health and wellness tips is just basically, armored, how my people can protect themselves, armor up in all the areas that we're being attacked. We're being attacked mentally, physically, and spiritually. So, I'm just giving tips to stay strong in all the areas that we're being attacked. So like on the physical side of it, usually it's like the health benefits of plants, fruit, vegetable, herb, extract, elixir that you can either ingest or apply topically to boost your body's health, or some type of physical exercise you can do to prolong and strengthen your health. On the mental side of it, things you can do to keep your mind strong, improve your mental health, such as reading, such as mindfulness, mindful breathing, meditation, things to keep you in your sound mind. On the spiritual side of it, spiritual practices you can do, such as praying, such as meditation again, such as, other spiritual exercises and practices you can do, burning incense, burning candles, sage, all kinds of other stuff. And then every once in a blue moon I hit you with a curveball, such as talking about divine law, quantum law, law of attraction, that type of stuff. So today on the Narrator podcast, the health and wellness tip is going to be mindful breathing techniques. I'm going to go over some mindful breathing techniques that will help you calm your mental. So we're on the mental side of it, mental health side of it today, or this week, because I only do them once a week. So I got 4 mindful breathing techniques. Now, mindful breathing is essential to, help you de-stress, help you from feeling anxiety, and basically just strengthen your mental fortitude. Because as I said earlier on in the broadcast, the media, they do all kinds of things to, keep our minds under duress, and just all kinds of things to make us stress, basically. So I'm just giving tips to, counteract that. So first mindful breathing exercise you can try is mindful breathing itself. And you start by beginning to breathe normal. Find your focus. And just, in through the nose, out through the mouth. I know a stoner somewhere, in through the nose, out through the mouth, but yeah, that's essentially what mindful breathing is just regulating your breathing, calming yourself, get a nice pace, just rhythmic, just cleansing breaths. That's basically what mindful breathing is, taking cleansing breaths. The second technique is counting your breaths. And you do that by following every breath you take. Now, doing this is somebody will just steady your heart rate, oxidize your cells, and just make you feel more calm. So you count your breath, and the way you do that is you just count. You just take a breath. Every time you take in, you count it up. 1, 2, and then hold, and then breathe, and hold, and then breathe. Now the third one is deep breathing. Deep breathing is focusing on your abdomen. It's all about the stomach. It's all about your core. And what that's for is for people like to have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. You have, irregular bowel movements. Your gut health is very important, but for people that have stomach problems, people that's either, blocked up or constantly going all the time, this is a good exercise for you. It helps regulate those digestive juices. And basically you're just doing a deep breath in through your nose, and you're pushing out through the mouth, and you're holding your core tight. You're holding your core tight the whole time while you're breathing. And then when you're holding your core tight, and then when you're finally done, you finally release. Slowly release it. Don't just kind of find your rhythm while keeping your core tight, nice and tight, while you're taking your breaths. And then the last technique is the 2-4 breathing. And it's called 2-4 breathing. It's called 2-4 breathing because you're just basically taking 2 breaths, doing the 2-4 count. So you're taking in breath, you're going 2, and then you're exhaling on the 4 count, on the 2 count. You're inhaling on the 2 count, you go in 1, 2, and then exhaling 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So the 2-4 count kind of emphasizes your parasympathetic nervous system, or PNS system, by way of your SYMS, sympathetic nerve system. So that's your lower region, your stomach. I just said your core. So it's like upper and lower conjoined together, working together in unison is what you're doing in that exercise. It's basically based on the Kundalini. You're inhaling 4 equal but distinctive parts. So that's where it's coming from, the 2 and the 4. All right. So hope you got that. That was the this week's health and wellness tip. Now we're on to the next section of the Narrative Podcast. This section is called the Spotlight section. In this section, what we're doing is we're spotlighting prominent figures within our community, making a positive impact in our community. Usually, or rather, when I first started doing the spotlight, I focused on prominent figures in my community in the area of entertainment. So I was spotlighting, actors, actresses, actors, actresses, recording artists, writers, producers, public figures, TikTokers, YouTubers, just public figures, every once in a blue moon, a religious figure, basically, anybody with a public platform using it positively in a positive way. So doing some type of philanthropy, some type of giving back, using their public platform to speak unapologetically on our issues, having a nonprofit organization or sitting on a chair or a board or something like that. Those are the type of, celebrity type figures I was spotlighting. But these days I kind of pulled back from it because I don't want to, fall into the negative stereotype of all we know how to do is entertain or be entertainers. So as of late, I've just been spotlighting regular people. And the type of regular people I've been spotlighting is like young people. But nevertheless, the purpose of me creating the spotlight section of the Narrative Podcast was basically to, create the healthy habit of utilizing your platform in a positive way, to say something positive about your brothers and sisters online, rather than dedicating your platform to destroying, bashing, denigrating, or shaming your brother and sister online, hurling insults, dragging them through the mud, airing dirty laundry. We do all that. We're the only people to do utilize our digital platform in a in an irresponsible way like that. So, that's why I created the spotlight section, and I believe it's caught on because before I added the spotlight section to my podcast, nobody was spotlighting anybody. Now every time you can turn on a radio, podcast, YouTube channel, a show where they have a special guest, they'll start off by saying, today the spotlight goes to, or we'll be spotlighting so-and-so, such and such. Yeah, today we'll be spotlighting, or the spotlight's on this person, that person, etc., da-da-da. But nobody was spotlighting anybody until I started doing the spotlight section. You can go check the episode logs and do your own due diligence. But yeah, like I said, it's not this movement. It's not a competition thing. Long as I know I'm making a difference, I'm making an impact, making a change, because I'm so over us, dragging each other through the mud online and saying something mean and hurtful, going out of our way to say something mean and hurtful to one another online. I'm over that, and I want everybody else to be over that too. And because, like I said, the powers that be, they love that. It's a business. They incentivize that. They offer a big, huge bag to promote the foolishness, to have us at each other's throat, to have us at odds, fighting one another. So, we got to change the narrative and, show them that there is, you know, a bag for being positive, that we can talk about positive things and uplift and edify each other and still get money. So, you know, that's what I'm attempting to do with the spotlight section. So yeah, I started the wave for spotlight. I gotta make some noise for me.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. So yeah, because like I said, the whole purpose of me creating this section is just to uplift and edify our people, giving somebody their roses for exemplary work, excellence, leading our people in a positive direction. So if I'm doing that, I'm inspiring so many other people to do that, that's great, because you don't have to shout out me or the Narrative Podcast to know I'm making an impact, know I'm making a difference, because the proof's in the pudding. So many people are doing it now, so you know you can't refute it. But anyway, today this week's spotlight goes to a one Miss Carrie Rogers. I believe I'm saying the young sister's name right. K-H-E-R-I-S Rogers. I'm thinking the H is silent, so I'm just saying Carrie. The H and the S is silent. But so this young sister, she is, unfortunately, we still have a problem within our community, colorism. We still, you know, we make fun of the different shades. So like our dark-skinned sisters and our fair-skinned sisters, they get really ridiculed for either being too dark or too light. But in the case of this young lady, she is on the dark spectrum, and she was getting bullied in school. Now this is kind of where I disagree. This is kind of where I disagree with the Gen Z generation. Getting talked about is not being bullied. Like, we didn't call it being bullied, we just call it roasting, talking about each other, playing the dozens. But I understand what this young lady is going through, because we are very mean to dark-complected original men and original women. We got all kinds of snaps. Like Michael Blackson, he said in his comedy special, his nickname going to school was Under the Bed. My uncle, he was very a dark-complected man. His childhood name, they used to call him Coltan, like charcoal. Like he was so dark, he had a charcoal tan. Get it? They used to call him Coltan. But we came up with all kinds of mean things to say about dark-skinned brothers and sisters. But this young lady, to deal with that, she developed a coping mechanism, a way to boost her self-esteem by creating her own clothing line. And her clothing lines, the name of her clothing line is Flexing My Complexion. So she created that line. It's just like basically like comprised of hoodies and t-shirts, graphic tees with positive messages on them. She got boosted into superstardom. She got boosted into superstardom when Alicia Keys recognized her. She was putting her stuff up on Instagram, and Alicia Keys kind of left her a comment on her brand. I believe the quote was, put her brand up with a quote with the caption that read, "I love this beautiful girl at Carrie's Poppin', and I love her mission and keep shining." And that's precisely, what she did. What she's up to now, she's had a reprising role as Belle in a series called Chicken Girls. She's written a book called Shine Bright, and she's over 300,000 followers on Instagram. The sky's the limit for this young lady. I do want to say I don't believe getting talked about is bullied. I think roasting that's a growing pain, something we all suffer it. I don't think there's and it doesn't. That's just something that comes with childhood. You're going to get talked about in school, but there are more now productive ways to deal with it. Back then, because it was either you get your feelings hurt and you cry, or you fight. But so there's more creative outlets now, or you start talking back, you roast back, you become a good roaster yourself. Those was the only options back then, but I just don't think it was called bullying. I don't know. Bullying to me is physically putting your hands on somebody. That's bullying to me. Getting shit down for your lunch money or whatever. But getting talked about is not bullying in my eyes. But join me in giving this young lady a warm narrative podcast round of applause. Giving her roses for all her accomplishments, striking a blow for young dark-skinned sisters all over the planet. All right, on to the next section of the Narrator Podcast. This section is called My Speaking Points of the Day. And in this section, what I do is I'm addressing current topic of the day, whether it's globally or within our own community. And the purpose of me doing this is controlling the narrative. It's like I said, the media goes out of their way to have us looking and sounding bad. So this is my attempt to keep the ball in the home court, unpacking whatever issues is going on in the world through our perspective. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. So that's basically what I'm going to do. It's going to be super duper short today because I just want to just give you something to ponder about. Over the weekend, unless you've been living in Iraq or not paying attention to current events, a couple months or earlier in the month, we was expecting to and it's ironic because I just covered this earlier on in the podcast. Some ladies that opened up their own business when it happened. Another possible government shutdown. So what are we doing? How are we preparing for it? Biden signed into a law that was saying we didn't have enough money. I guess the story is we was running out of money or whatever, which is some BS. Which this whole BRICS thing is some BS. So basically you're trying to link it back to this BRICS movement to devalue the American dollar, which is like an oxymoron. You can't devalue something that never had value to begin with, or haven't had had value since we stopped being backed by gold. We stopped being backed by gold, like I think, like in the 1960s, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But after we stopped being backed by gold, our currency wasn't worth nothing anyway. So how can you devalue something that's not worth anything? But basically, I'm just bringing it up, wondering, what are you doing to prepare yourself for another possible government shutdown? Because with our U.S. government, it can and will and has shut down with no notice. Like, we don't get 2-week notices when the government shuts down. When it shuts down, they just released a press statement. We don't get no trail of breadcrumbs leading up to the shutdown. They just shut down. Like, the government officials, they're as shocked as we are when they hear it. So what are you doing to prepare? If you live in America, what are you doing to prepare yourself or your businesses for another? If you're a business owner, what are you doing? What kind of strides are you making? So what are you doing for another the possibility of another government shutdown? So what are you doing to get yourself ready for another possible government shutdown? Living in this country, a government shutdown is always imminent. Like what we saw during the pandemic, we got no advance warning. It's happened throughout history. So, when they pull the plug, we never know when it's going to happen. We never know when it's going to happen. What are you going to do? How are you preparing for it if it happens? What's your exit strategy? What's your stay-at-home strategy if you're going to just ride it out, staying home? Or, what are you doing right now? Because the government, our government, this U.S. government, it can shut down literally tomorrow. We can, all devices, and, the press representative for Biden could be like, all government shutdown, all government agencies will shut down today at X, Y, and Z time, and we can't do nothing about it then. We won't know nothing. All the government buildings are shut down. Nobody will do nothing. We'll give you updates because that's how they do in this country. But, just something to think about. How are you planning for another shutdown? Because another shutdown is imminent, especially with this election looming, getting forward. Now, last year we had that invisible thing that was the start of the election. So that a whole lot of people had to stay home because of that, because they didn't want to leave their house, fear of leaving their houses and all that good junk, and their votes not being counted for, whatever percentage of the votes actually get counted anyway because of the electoral voting college. But that's a whole nother kettle of fish. But anyway, what are you doing to prepare yourself for another possible, very imminent government shutdown? That's just something I want you to ponder about for today's speaking point. I don't have an answer myself. I just want you to think about that. All right, down to the nitty gritty. This is the final section of the Narrative Podcast. It's my final word of the day or final thought of the day section, depending on how I'm feeling. Now, I kind of flip back and forth. When it's a final word, it really is just a word, but it could mean various things. And the final thought is more of a phrase or a saying, something that we say every day, or a phrase or a common saying that we use over and over again. The final, this section basically is a philosophical section, just something to have you ponder, a wise word of wisdom, a quote, a saying, just something, deep to put on your mind. Not super deep, but just something kind of, I never thought about it like that. So, yeah, that's what this section is all about. So, with no further ado, here we go, diving in. My final thought of the day is keep calm. Like, too often, more than not, we make bad situations worse by stressing about something that we can't control. I think it's said, I forget which philosopher, but basically like the things that you're afraid of, the things your fear you focus on, you end up manifesting that into a reality. Because we're sitting up here, we're worrying, we're getting scared, we're creating scenarios within our minds that hasn't happened yet. And when you have an undisciplined mind, you can very well create your own hell. You can create your own bad situation. Like, you can literally make a bad situation worse by, stressing about it. So today's word is keep calm. Be prepared, but keep calm. Like, I guess the cliche saying is really cliche, but calmer heads prevail, and calmer heads really do prevail. Because when you're calm, you can think of a solution. When you're calm, you can conduct yourself. You'll be less likely to physically injure yourself. When you remain calm, you'll be less likely to succumb to dis-ease, because all sicknesses start in the mind. When you latch onto it, it manifests into reality in the body. But I digress. But your thoughts can be your savior, or your thoughts can be your own worst enemy. It can be your nail in your coffin, or it can be your, silver cloud or silver lining on your cloud. It's up to you. But you have to remain calm. You can't go to pieces every time something happens. You can't worry about things you have no control over. And it's very easy to feel high levels of anxiety when you're going through whatever you're going through it, because these little things that we're in, this flesh, makes it feel real. And something I say time and time again on my platform, we're not, none of this is real. We're spirits having a human experience. But outside stressors make this thing that we're living in feel real, make the pain real, make the suffering real. So you got to keep calm. Calmer heads will prevail. You will get through it. You will survive. You will figure it out. But not if you don't keep calm. Because if you're not calm, you're going to make it worse. Whatever it is, you're going to make it worse. You're going to agitate it and make it worse. So chill out. Get your composure. Breathe. And I just covered this, I think it was last week. Yeah, last Saturday. I said I'm going to try to get believe out of my vocabulary, because belief is a doubt. So when you say you believe something, you're, on a subconscious level, you're doubting it. So, you have to know. So place your faith in whatever you believe in, whatever your spiritual practices is, whatever your religion is. You have to know it will be all right. If you're a Christian, you know if, God got you. You're a Muslim, you got to know Allah got you. You got to know if you're a Buddhist, Buddha got you. And whatever, all the deities, you're into frequency, vibration. You got to know that you're emitting and attracting like high frequency and vibrations. You have to know it. You can't believe it. You got to know it. You got to know you're going to be all right. But all that comes from a space of being calm. So, final word of the day, keep calm. Remember those keep calm t-shirts that was trending a while ago with the crown? And they would say, keep calm. Keep calm, I'm a this, I'm a that, and keep calm, I'm a that, and a that, and a that. Well, just remember those t-shirts, the keep calm t-shirts. Keep calm. Well, that's it and that's all. Halsey Allen, that was the final word of the day. Keep calm. And this episode of the Narrative Podcast is officially over. But keep calm. I'm going to be back next week with another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Join me next week for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Until then, download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast. Tune in regularly wherever you get your podcast from, because I broadcast during the weekday randomly, so I never know which day during the weekday that I'm going to broadcast an episode of the Narrative Podcast. So just tune in on a regular basis. And the best way to do that is follow me on YouTube, on Halsey Allen on YouTube. Subscribe, click the notification bell. Also follow me on Twitter, or X as it's called now, and you will get your notifications. You will know every time that I'm broadcasting live. There's a platform that I'm on, broadcast directly to my YouTube and Twitter when I'm live. So either one of those two mediums, do that. But definitely tune in every single weekend to the Narrative Podcast. I'm locked in for the weekends. I've been doing this a long time, so that's a for sure thing, unless I announce that I'm not. But yeah, I'll be back with you for sure this weekend with a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. I've also written a book titled The Black Card. Currently, it's only available on one medium, and that's Poetizer.com. Poetizer.com has a virtual bookstore. So go to Poetizer.com and go into their virtual bookstore and purchase a copy of my book, The Black Card, at excuse me, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Go to the Poetizer bookstore and purchase a copy of my book, The Black Card, on Poetizer.com in their virtual bookstore. The title of it is The Black Card. The Black Card is an all-comprehensive look at all the experiences and all the nuances within our culture and about our people we experience as a people. The Black Card is basically like a spiritual, quintessential journal of being black, basically a black survival guide. Everything to expect being black, or as I refer to our people on my platform, original. Everything you have to look forward to that experience. Basically, it's a survival card, a black card. So go do yourself a huge favor and purchase your copy of the Black Card today, or get your Black Card revoked. Also, I have a poetry blog on blogger.com called hallziespoetrycorner. The web address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. My tagline is poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. When you read one of my poems, you'll find out why. The way you can support one of my poems from Halsey's Poetry Corner is to go to the link, www.mrhalseysblog.com, share the link or a poem featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner on all platforms, like whatever you're active on, whether it's Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, whatever website you're active on, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever. Now for the visual platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, you might want to just say, give a brother a shout out, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, you might just want to give a brother a shout out, because those are visual platforms, I'm pretty sure you can't share a link like that unless you do one of those programs where you can see it at the bottom of your screen. You can do that, but for the visual platforms, you might want to just shout me out, shout the link out, or a poem that you liked on the blog. So yeah, look out for your brother one time, Halsey's Poetry Corner. Share that on all platforms, and that'll do it for this episode of the Narrative Podcast. I'm out of here like last year. Join me this weekend for another full edition of the Narrative Podcast. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to join in my cause and become a narrator and change the narrative on your social media, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrative Podcast signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.